Ironically, exactly the same thing I did. You know, get my foot in the door, started off small. Used each property as a stepping stone and then built up to eventually buying a place to live in. And that's what many people do nowadays. It's just a strategy which allows you to take action with what you've currently got and get you on the property market. Because when you're saving, things just get in the way. Something comes up and then you've got to spend the savings, start all over again. And it's like you're trying to race your savings versus how quick the market's going to move. The market always wins, unfortunately. Before, you could pick up like a property for like 200,000, 250 in Brisbane, and it would rent out for 350 or 400 a week. Now they're like 300, 350, and they're renting out for 350, 400. The prices have gone up, but the rents, they've gone up, but just not as quickly as the prices have. So the yields are lower in Brisbane right now. Rental yields are a lot higher in Perth at the moment because Brisbane's already gone up quite a lot. We were buying properties in 2020, 3 years ago, for like 280, and the same ones are like 500. 550 right now in Queensland. It's kind of gone through a big growth cycle already. It still has a little bit of growth left in it, but the yields have depleted because of how high the prices have gone. Just about how you use that property as a stepping stone and how it's going to help get to the next one. Realistically, I would probably go Perth because just the time of the cycle, Perth's just starting to grow. Like, I believe it's jumped up, 10, 20% a little bit. Brisbane's already jumped up 60, 70, 80% already in the last few years. And the stuff is so affordable. Like, we picked up a property recently for 275,000. That was in Perth and it was only like 4 kilometers from the city. So very good location. That was a townhouse. You could rent that for 450 a week and it was only 275. The borrowing capacity, as an example, it changes. When the brokers give you your borrowing capacity, it's always pretty conservative. If they've said 250 to 300, they'll always try to put you through the big banks first, usually, or the ones that have the lowest borrowing capacity calculators. Generally, when they give you your borrowing capacity, let's say it's 300,000, you can usually times it by 3 to 4, meaning 300K times 4, that's 1.2 million, as an example. You can generally buy that amount of properties with what this borrowing capacity is. If you bought a property for 255 as an example, and the rental returns 350 a week, that'll change and re-increase your borrowing capacity. It won't generally go down, it'll go to the side. So if your borrowing capacity is 300 and you bought one for 255, it doesn't generally just drop from 300 to 45,000, 300 minus 255 would be 45. That's what a lot of people think. Because it has that new associated rental income, when you go back for finance for your second property, they'll take the first rental income that you've already got, and now they'll take the other rental income of the one that you're planning to buy, which is property number 2. Your borrowing capacity can continue to stretch. You can usually times it by 3 to 4. Some banks, as an example, like if they're referring to like the big banks or second tier, sometimes your borrowing capacity might be 300 with them, and then they show you like your borrowing capacity with a third tier lender, they're usually 3 times that. When I went to St. George Bank for my first property, they said I could borrow like 300,000. Then another mortgage broker said, with homeloans.com.au, which is a third tier lender, you can borrow 700,000. The different lenders, they give you very different borrowing capacities. Basically, you just got to use them in the right order. So you start off with the ones that are more conservative, and then you leave the more lenient lenders for last.